What's up, guys? It's Emmanuel Football Club Magazine podcast, and we're back for another episode. We're on episode 7, and yeah, we're excited for it. It was a good week. We had a lot of cool stuff happening in soccer this weekend. For example, James Rodríguez debuted with Minnesota United. Maybe not the happiest of starts for him, but exciting to see him, come to the league and finally get the start that we're waiting for.
Yeah, super excited. Also, Charlotte Independence started the season. We got a tie in Westchester, which was, not what we were looking for, but they scored on the first minute of the game against us, and we battled all the way through. Scored a tying goal in the 96th, so got the season started, and really excited for that. And like you said, a lot of fun stuff going on this week. What's going on with you, Ryan?
Yeah, the day we're filming this, St. Patrick's Day, it's the start of the US Open Cup. I'm going to be closing out day 2 tomorrow up in Lancaster, CA. Have next pro next week also. It's a bit of an off week for me, but it gives me time to get ready with some of the craziness that is Open Cup and a bit of a teaser. We're going to have more on tournaments later on, but it's been a lot of fun. Um, just covering games, seeing these top guys make their way into MLS, seeing what's been happening in all sports lately. It's just a fun time of the year. March Madness begins today. Well, baseball classic finals today, at least the day we're filming this. And it's just fun all the way around in the sports realm at the moment. It's March. It's beautiful. What more can you say?
March Madness, huh? Do you guys watch any of that this weekend?
Nope,
Well, it
I
starts today.
haven't watched any basketball here. So, what about you, Ryan? I'm sure you've watched basketball, baseball, hockey, all the sports in the world.
Yes and no. On the college basketball thing, I usually wait for the tournament. Selection Sunday, I know was really interesting. One of the best stories in the entire tournament, in my opinion, Miami of Ohio. They were undefeated in the regular season, lost in the conference tournament, and everyone was bashing on them because they didn't think they deserved it because they're a smaller team, but they still made it. Miami of Ohio, undefeated regular season, coming out of a non-mid power conference, and hopefully we could see some Cinderella runs like some of these other tournaments we're going to talk about. March Madness, these underdogs always come through in some way, shape, or form, and that's what I'm most excited to see whenever everything starts there later tonight, at least as the day we're filming this.
For sure. Then some of the World Series baseball. Did you guys catch any of that? I know I was rooting for Venezuela last night, but yeah, I fell asleep, so I don't even know how the game ended.
I haven't really watched. I've only seen the Italian guys having espresso shots in the dugout, and I'm all about that. So that's my team for sure.
What's your coffee order, John?
Cortado, or just a flat white. I like a strong coffee.
Un cortadito. Cortadito.
So, going on with that, we talked about at the beginning, James Rodriguez debuted in MLS. I read it was the worst loss in his career. 6-0. He came in the 64th minute, I think, when their team was losing 5-0. It'll be really interesting to see if he'll be able to help Minnesota United, who's had a really rough start. But for the league itself, it's great news to bring a player like James, one probably the best Colombian player in the last 10 years. What do you guys made of his debut, and do you think he'll be a good fit for Minnesota? Will he able to help them out and they'll get some wins?
So yeah, so I was reading that actually this is the 10th game that he's lost in his last 10 games, including this one. So I guess this one makes it the 10th. But yeah, really interesting. I mean, it'll be I'm hoping that he has a little bit of a Cinderella story, like Thomas Mueller's having with Vancouver. I'm sure that all the knowledge he has on positioning on the field will come in handy, especially coming into a very tough league of in the athletic department, right?
So, in terms of what James could do for Minnesota, it's it's going to be very different to all the other international superstars we've seen, right? For Messi, he's basically being asked to carry the entire franchise of Inter Miami on his back right now. Same with him and Suarez, but predominantly that's Messi. And then you have a guy like Thomas Mueller, more of a leadership guy. He's going to be in there. You could argue same goes for Son Heung-min, leadership guy. He's going to be in there. He's going to get his contributions. But you compare James to all those other guys, and I think it's the most unique and interesting, especially when you look at how he got his debut, right? 5-0 down, over an hour into the game. And when you bring in someone of that caliber, you would probably expect them to, at the very least, be put into a tight game situation, or maybe even starting. Or if you're going to sub him in, not 5-0, that's for sure. So that alone already makes the situation really weird as it is. But the other part of it is all those other teams I mentioned, LAFC, Vancouver, Miami, they were on an upswing. All of them were in an upswing. Miami was a playoff team. LAFC were championship contenders forever. Minnesota is towards the bottom of the Western Conference right now with a player who might not even make that big of an impact just because the team was not on an upswing. They're kind of on a downswing right now compared to last year. So James is an interesting situation. It just feels so different, to me at least.
I mean, speaking of the downswing, this could be a Maradona Napoli story. Comes in, turns it around for them. But yeah, I mean, only time will tell is one thing that John loves to say, and it's always true. Only time will tell. But also, Inter Miami, Charlotte playing today. I mean, playing Saturday. Um, let's talk about the game, but also a little bit about the ticket sales and Messi being absent along with DePaul because they want to rest him for the Conca Champions League, which is completely fair, right? What's not fair is to tell the fans 2 hours before the game starts, after they done spent thousands of dollars in accommodation, tickets, and whatnot, right? What's y'all's opinion on this?
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit of a devil's advocate here because at the end of the day, it's a game, and I do understand the hype that Messi brings, and that maybe 70% of the people are just going to see Messi and maybe not going to support Charlotte FC. But at the same time, I don't see why teams have to give a heads up that Messi's not going to play, because that's kind of a disadvantage to Inter Miami, because you're telling your rival, oh yeah, we're coming without our best player, so maybe that can have an effect on the team the players are selected to play for Charlotte, because they're like, oh, maybe we're going to play this defensive style, and because of Messi, and now we're maybe going to be able to play a different way. So I do understand why Inter Miami doesn't want to shout it out and let people know, and I do understand why people can be upset, because people are excited to see him, but there's no rules in the book where you have to let know who's going to be in the 18. That's part of the game, and it comes with it. So I understand why people are upset, but if I was Inter Miami, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, from the sporting side of things, it's completely fair to not want to announce who's coming, who's not coming. You are within every right to do so. It's more on the business side of things and the advertising, right? Recently, or maybe not so recently, the British Columbia what is it Supreme Court, they favor Vancouver and pretty much awarded them with a settlement because of the way the ticketing situation happened when Messi didn't show up to play in Canada that one game that fans were very excited to experience.
It's very interesting because it sends a really mixed message on how the MLS, how Inter Miami, how these other clubs are handling the Messi situation, right? The LAFC home opener for the LAFC home opener, that was played at a football stadium because they were expecting a higher capacity. They moved the DC United place. They moved the DC United game to M&T Bank Stadium, another football stadium, to cater to that. Sure, Charlotte already has that in their backyard, so that wasn't really a big issue. But the fact that some teams are catering to and then you have this situation happen where Charlotte kind of gets stood up in a way, it's really negative for the fans. It stinks for them. I think it's hard to compare the Vancouver situation to the Charlotte situation because they're Canadian, but the aftermath is still the same. You have thousands of people who are clearly pissed off, and I don't think it's going to really hurt Messi individually by any means, but it does send a mixed message to the fans. Are you catering to this or are you not? And if you are going to cater to this, what are the fans going to get out of it? And so far, at least in Charlotte, all they've received is basically getting stood up and left to hold the check, essentially, with however many thousands of fans who were relatively displeased, and probably another several thousand who were like, yes, we don't have to play Messi. We can get a point at home against this Inter Miami squad. But it's a mixed message. It's really confusing. And I just don't know what's going to be a potential ramification going forward.
Yeah, I think it's just tough because how Inter Miami cannot promise that Messi's going to play all the games, especially we talked about leading to the World Cup. You know, he's going to prioritize maybe the Champions League. He's going to prioritize certain things, and he's 38, 39 years old. He's not going to be able to play every game. You know, the travel, all those things is going to take an effect. So again, I understand why people are upset, the fans, because they spend money to see Messi, and I think clubs need to be aware that it's a possibility. And you know, when Messi comes into town, if you're gonna book a different venue like, you know, LAFC did or DC United just because you want to play at a bigger stadium, sell more tickets, make more money, it's a risk those clubs are taking, because it's not on Inter Miami or on Messi to play every game. Because when you buy the ticket, you buy Charlotte FC against Inter Miami. You are not buying a ticket. This is not a boxing ring, and you get a fight of Messi against Zaha. You know, so it's just part of the game. So people are upset. Okay, it's just bad luck. It's just part of it. Sometimes the best players are not available, and that's just part of the game.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on this entire topic. So if anything, this could be another lesson learned for the fans, right? You're not buying a Messi versus Saha ticket. You're buying Charlotte versus Inter. So nothing is really promising. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess it's more of the way things are marketed that leads to the miscommunication, leads to a lot of the displeased fans. But in other news, since you did bring up Saha, another game where he got a yellow for protesting despite um multiple fouls against him in the first 10-15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I saw his interview the other day where he was complaining about refs not protecting him, and I don't really want to get into it a lot because I'm also a player, and you know, I can't put myself in his shoes. But I think it's all part of the game. I think if you're letting your frustration at the end of the day, and he ends up protesting or kicking someone as retaliation, uh, it's fair enough. You're gonna get yellow cards. I can't really get into this part of, do the refs need to protect him more? Maybe, but teams are just playing the game, right? It's the same thing. They're gonna try the best to get him out of the game, to get in his head. People know he's frustrated. They're just gonna do it more, you know. So I think yes, the refs should protect him, but I think he also needs to do a better job of, you know, dealing with it.
We've talked about officiating how many times on this program, and the negatives that can surround it, the controversies that can come to it, and everything else of the sort. But at the end of the day, it's not one official. It's a team of officials, right? If you want to go specifically on the Zaha complaining track here, that's what the officials are going to do. Yes, it's up to interpretation. It's subjective. Every single sport has that. That just is what it is. But for whatever reason, and I don't think this is a soccer issue, I could argue it's a little more of what the sports culture has become, especially when you have social media in the mix, especially when you have these guys who are coming into the league 18, 19 years old. They haven't known a world where every single call is broadcast over TV and social media. So they see these negative calls. They see the effects of a missed call or a call that was maybe on the border, but they called anyways. Like that's all they've known. That's all they've grown up with. And they somehow expect that same favorability when it just does not exist, because I think that's just the exposure of what refereeing is. And a lot of my friends, they do reffing on the side. It's a tough job. It's a thankless job. But at the end of the day, they're working with a team, and it's not kind of a one voice fits all. They work together, they talk to each other, and they come up to a relatively collective agreement. And don't forget, the MLS is a league where VAR exists. They can go back, look at it, and double check everything, and they said all is good. So that's the other part of it. Replay exists. Like, why is this still a controversy? Like, why do we have to go through this? It's because it's the interpretation of the players and the referees, and obviously everyone's an individual at the end of the day.
Speaking of rules and VAR, I was having a fun conversation with Jorge from Top 90 the other day, and something that came to my head was, kind of similar to the way the NFL does timeouts.
Mhm.
What do you think as a player? Right, this one's for you. Would it be fair if there was kind of like a 2 calls per game where you can request a VAR no matter what the situation is, uh, in favor of your team as a coach?
So there's some leagues that already work in a similar way to what you're talking, where there's certain challenges you can challenge certain calls, as in goals, red cards, and big decisions, and that's because having the VAR that MLS has, or Champions League, or the top leagues in Europe is really expensive, right? You have the referees in the VAR room who are looking at every single thing that happens in the game. So some of the smaller leagues, what they do have is a TV, and then each coach gets a challenge per half. If they get it right, they keep it. And if they get it wrong, they lose the challenge for the half. So they can challenge on goals, they can challenge on red cards, certain situations, right? And I think that keeps the game moving. And right now, like Ryan's saying, there's everything is looked at. Every single thing that happens in the game can be they can go back to it and be like, oh, this was a foul, or this was a red card, or whatever. And I kind of like the idea of just the challenges, but I also get why there's the VAR that they have now.
Yeah.
And if you have the money for it, where in theory you keeping everything fair, then fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's like both of you are saying that the technology is already there. It's already being used. Why not just make it worth the money that you are spending on it, right? And I think challenges would be an interesting thing to see come into the MLS and major leagues. But yeah, I mean, only time will tell.
Yeah.
Can I have a rebuttal, actually?
Ooh, hit us.
I have one big rebuttal. And you mentioned the NFL and the NBA examples. But I know for the NFL, you lose a timeout if the challenge is wrong. So the question is, an incorrect challenge has to result in a consequence, right? If you challenge it and if you fail and you say, actually, the call's upheld, the call stands due to inconclusive evidence or conclusive evidence that the call was right in the first place, what's the consequence on the team? Do you go 10 men for a single minute? Do you get a yellow card on the bench? What's the consequence there? Because there has to be a rebuttal. In NFL, you lose a timeout. In the NHL, you go shorthanded. The opposite team goes on the power play. There has to be a consequence if a challenge fails. And the question is, what would be your solution for that? I like the idea, mostly because we talked about the MLS Next Pro rules a couple of weeks ago, that if you take too long to substitute, you play 10 men for a minute. And the idea of maybe going a man down for an extended period of time could be really interesting. You could also give a yellow card. 2 failed challenges, your coach gets sent off. That could be an offer too for a consequence to a failed challenge. But that's my part. That's my part of it. If you do challenges, there has to be a negative consequence if you fail the challenge, like every other sport does.
Yeah, that would be you don't get another challenge. I think that's simple enough, But
Yellow card to bench then?
Sorry?
Yellow card to coach then?
No, just you don't have a chance to challenge again.
Yeah,
I feel like
he was the challenge.
that's how it is.
Fair.
That's how it is in tennis. In tennis, you get, I think, 3 challenges per set, and then if you get it right, you keep it. If not, you lose the chance to challenge again, and then it keeps the game going. Obviously, I think these rules we talked about are interesting. I had my first game of the season, and I saw a lot of those things play a big part. In substitution, in substitutions, everyone was sprinting out of the field, which was like really interesting because the other team was winning, and you saw the guys like sprinting out. And there was also the case where the goalkeeper took too long to restart the ball after grabbing it, and we got awarded a corner kick. And I was like, oh, interesting. It was cool because it felt like the game was moving really fast. So I just wanted to tie it down to the conversation we had last week. But yeah, like Ryan, obviously, what you're saying makes sense because we ultimately, again, all want the game to be played at a speed. Yeah. And with all this VAR, sometimes it feels like it stops way too much, So having challenges, things like that, it has to be really obvious for the coach to be like, oh, I'm actually going to challenge it because, I might get it, but I'm not just going to do anything just like you said. If there's no consequence of just challenging to challenge, which is kind of what it feels now, then people would like maybe think about it twice,
In other news, guys, the Finalissima Copa being canceled. Is this a positive or a negative for for world soccer? Have the finalists of what is it, Copa America versus the finalists of the Euro Cup.
Yep.
Is this something that could just be considered maybe like another friendly being played, or is this a genuine loss to what could have been a good competition?
I mean, first of all, it's a made up cup. They did it a couple years ago.
Clickbait, baby.
It's just what it is. It's a made up international competition, which I thought it was really cool because especially in World Cup year, watching Argentina and Spain, which are maybe two of the favorites, play against each other a couple months before the World Cup would have been a great game to see.
Wait. So you do agree that they make up cups for Messi?
Well, that it was not made up for Messi because he didn't play on the first one.
That's true.
If this was the first one, then I'll be like,
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the two federations couldn't really figure it out since the game cannot be played in Qatar anymore. So if there was some sort of weight and FIFA felt like it was a very big competition, I'm sure they would have just told them like this is what the situation is. But ultimately, it's just a friendly that was given a name of Finalissima, just to sell tickets for TV viewership. But yeah, I think I would have loved to watch the game, but I'm not like really worried about it or
You're gonna lose some sleep over it.
No, definitely not.
I mean, like you said, it could be said that it is another game. However, like games like that here on this side of the world, like for example, the Campeón de Campeones, that's taken pretty serious. Like big dog against big dog that just won a competition. So in my opinion, I think it was a loss in bragging rights of like, hey, like we're actually the best. Like, and we like whoever. I think you could have set the precedent of whoever wins that cup is set to win the World Cup. In a sense, right? But that's just my opinion.
One of the things that when I first got into really covering soccer like 4 years ago that really threw me in for a loop when I first started was all the competitions because even though it's just on the US side, CONCACAF Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, Open Cup, MLS going on, USL, NWSL, She Believes Cup. That's on the international side, sure, but still, there's so many competitions and so many tournaments to play that it draws a double-edged sword because we made the argument earlier about the Charlotte game, right? And how Messi didn't play. Who's to say he would have played in this one in a quote-unquote made-up tournament, in a quote-unquote friendly? Like, who's to say that he wouldn't have sat out of that one also because of all the factors we listed before? And who's to say that, some of the top Spanish players would have done the same thing because they want to prep for the World Cup. They know that if there's an international cup to be played for, it's coming this summer. And, sure, it's a loss, but also there's going to be an opportunity to make it up elsewhere in, the three countries here in North America in a couple months from now, where they can once again show who is that top dog, at least between, Argentina and Spain, and they're going to have that platform to perform when they come here.
Yeah, going with what Ryan's talking about, I think ultimately the World Cup's coming up. There's, I think, 2 international breaks, one now in March, one in April, and that's going to be kind of our last chance to see certain national teams So it'll be interesting to see the results, how they're doing, but everyone's just prepping for the big one, which will be the World Cup. And talking about the World Cup and national teams, we're back to your favorite topic.
I loved it.
And you're probably really happy because
you guys just keep ganging up on me because I say one thing.
I mean, I don't know if you're in direct touch with Ancelotti, but Neymar hasn't been called up for this international break. What do you think? How are you feeling?
Feeling a little upset, but I feel like every time we talk about a player, we just kind of set them up for failure. So I'm just not gonna name any names this time. But I think it's they're definitely gonna miss him. They're definitely gonna miss Rodrigo. The people he called up. I mean, I don't think there were really any surprises there. I think everybody has earned their rightful spot on that squad. But I mean, he did not rule out the fact that Neymar could still make it into the World Cup. If he's able to get fit by by the time that he needs to submit that list.
I love how we always come back to this subject in some way, shape, or form because time really is a circle. But at the end of the day, Brazil's got to have business decisions to make, right? We saw this controversy come when the Olympics came for basketball, the Olympics came for hockey, same with the World Cup. Like every international tournament, you're going to get some sort of roster controversy because of who's available. But the most controversial part every time is who's cut, who's the last man out, who are the first several men out. And the best ability is availability, especially in these major tournaments where the conditions are really strenuous, especially on the body. Heat's going to be involved. Hydration breaks are likely going to be involved. For someone like Neymar, who has dealt with muscle issues, his share of joint issues, he's in his 30s now. There is reason to say, hey, Neymar, you are not the best 20 some odd players on Brazil in the entire country right now. You can make that argument just for that one factor alone. He's not healthy. He's not fit. And Thiago Silva makes a fair point. If Neymar's fit, he has to play in the World Cup. But does he really? Like we have seen several times, World Cup runs get absolutely derailed because someone gets injured mid-tournament. I believe Neymar missed games in each of the World Cups he's played in, at least a couple games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2014 when he almost got paralyzed.
And didn't he miss games in 22 also?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
so, which is again like the one time that you guys asked me that, it was based on the historical fact that he's one way or another gotten injured, and it's not his fault. Nobody wants to get injured, but his style of play makes him very vulnerable to injury. It's not that he's not a guy taking care of his diet or anything like that. I mean, that argument could be made maybe in the past couple of years, but in the past, it was definitely just him getting fouled for being too good.
Listen, since no one's asking me, because I feel like you guys know what I'm gonna say, I'm with Thiago Silva. If he's fit, he needs to play. If he's not fit, like maybe he's not right now, fair enough. But if Neymar's fit, he has to be in that squad. That's just my opinion. Obviously, I'm not going to argue with Carlo Ancelotti, which is probably the best manager of all times. He's got the most trophies, so I can't really argue with him. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting how things are progressing with this certain topic, and it'll be interesting to see if he'll make the April roster. And with that being said, did you guys see Brazil's new jersey, the new collaboration they had as their away jersey with Jordan?
Yeah, I think it was. We all kind of saw it coming. Neymar's relationship with Michael Jordan, it's not a secret. So I think it's a cool collaboration. We've also seen it with the soccer cleats. What is it, the Tempos?
The Tiempo.
Yeah, they look really nice. Now, whether Jordan should be in soccer, like that's a whole different topic. But I like them. They look cool. They look very streetwear, which is what a lot of these brands are going for nowadays.
This one's gonna go to you, Ryan, because not only Brazil released their jersey for the World Cup, but also U.S. and Canada. So I wanted to hear your thoughts, Ryan, since I feel like you're big into jerseys and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, jerseys are so much fun to look at, especially when you kind of see some of, the intricacies and nuances of it. One of my favorite details, by the way, of Canada's jersey is they have like an outline of the maple leaf in like the varying shades of red, which is so cool in itself. And the USA kind of did the same thing, this kind of wavy red and white stripe thing, kind of resembling like the waving American flag. And okay, this is one that I didn't get bothered by, but it was one that definitely raised an eyebrow, which is the choice of this dark navy blue, borderline black looking jersey with the stars on it. I have never once seen a Team USA black jersey. Like, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's going to be a big change up that I don't think a lot of people are going to be expecting or going to be ready for. Canada's also wearing a black jersey too, which is also interesting in itself. But for whatever reason, black is like having its moment right now. Canada's using a black jersey with this sick looking ice maple leaf thing, and US is doing this black on black star design that I'm not really sure if it's black or navy, but for some reason, in what could be one of the hottest tournaments of all time, black is most certainly a choice. Um, Black is most certainly a choice. I can say that much.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, I think I'm a big fan of both of them. John actually just showed me the Canada one, and I had not seen it, but very very nice design there. But it's funny because Canada and the U.S. are, you know, running into this space of running with the black jerseys, and Mexico's kind of shying away from it, which I personally don't mind because we have not had the best of luck in black. So thank God for that.
But then what about, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen like the Team Mexico jersey? It's like very 90s. They have the giant like Aztecian symbol in the front that
Yeah,
kind of
I love
is
it.
reminiscent of like those 90s jerseys, which is a sick design, by the
Yeah,
way, in
it is.
itself. Like
I
if
think
we
they
can
could have
pop it
done a
up,
little
pop it
better
up.
with the collar, but overall, the jerseys, it, I'll wear it. You guys will see me wearing it in a couple weeks, so excited for that.
I actually have a version of the white and red Team Mexico jersey. It's sick. I need to wash it because I wore it to a concert last week. But that is a sick jersey. Mexico always produces really sick hits for whatever reason. I think the black was an interesting choice. Canada does it really well with the white contrast and kind of the ice look, very Canadian of them. The USA, it just looks like a black jersey, but I love that red and white kind of wavy, waving flag looking thing. Um, and that's another part of the World Cup that's, or not just World Cup, but soccer as a whole is how crazy and out of the box or sticking to tradition that these manufacturers tend to go with these designs.
I'm reading that Mexico's third kit for the World Cup will be black too. So
Jesus
Okay.
we're
Christ.
gonna have a lot of dark jerseys, which is interesting because historically, especially here in the U.S., the away jersey is always white. You know, you have you're repping your colors in your home, and then your away jersey is always white. But I think that's just kind of where soccer's going, and these brands, Nike, Adidas, are always trying to bring new ideas and bright designs. So I personally love jerseys. I've said it before. I think all the jerseys are really cool. The Canada Way one is probably my favorite out of all of them. I think it's really cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the World Cup, for people to be wearing jerseys, to go out and see people wearing, their national teams, and I think it's a great moment to be proud of your team and wear the jersey.
What are your thoughts on the Spain jersey?
I think it's pretty cool. I think Spain's jerseys are always nice. I think the red color. I love when we wear blue pants. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
For Spain to have a good World Cup, and I'll be definitely wearing some retro jerseys. I have a bunch of old jerseys from my dad when he played here in the World Cup in 2000 in 1994, and I love to wear those jerseys to watch the games.
Very dope. That's a cool touch right there. Now, given the fact that Spain usually tries to keep it traditional, do you ever feel or have that desire for them to maybe sway a little bit from it and get a little creative with it? I'm not saying they're not creative. I'm just saying they usually like to stick to their traditional colors and designs and patterns.
I think when it comes to clubs, I don't mind a little bit of creativity because they come up with new designs every year. But I think when it comes to national teams and big tournaments, you know, I think it's staying to classical things are it's better. I feel like when Argentina is wearing their blue kit and Germany their white and Spain their red and Holland their orange. There's certain things that are just iconic, and you just see the teams on the field and you're like, okay, that's Spain against France. With the blue. So when it comes to international football, I like the classical colors and not too much craziness, which is interesting because I feel like the U.S. has been trying so many different designs, different colors. You guys have played in white at home, you've played in red, you've played in blue, and it's just interesting.
Now they're playing black soon.
Black soon, but the away jersey is always interesting. But I feel like countries should have like the color, and then you watch them, and you don't even have to see like the name on top or whatever. You just know what team it is.
Yeah, I agree. Because honestly, Mexico's been pretty creative with it. Y'all remember the 2014 one with I think it was Thunder, Lightning, whatever it was. I thought that was really cool. But again, I do see your point. I do see the classiness of keeping it, the traditional colors.
If you had to pick one of the bunch that you've seen or that we've talked about to go to Nike or Adidas or wherever and pick it up, what's your number one pick right now? For me, I'll be honest, it might be that Mexico green with the Aztec logo. I think it's a beaut, but I think the Canadian black with the ice is the best one of the bunch. I love that. That's sick on so many levels.
I'm with you. Canada away. That's been my favorite so far.
Yeah. If you go to my closet, there's like half of it is black for a reason. So I'll have to go with the Canada one. That's so funny. That's really funny.
It's the first time the three of us agree on something, which is really interesting. It took us 7 episodes.
Jeez. But
how many hours of conversation?
Probably like, we can multiply it. We've had 2 1.5 hour, and then the rest of them about 30 to 40. So like around maybe 9 hours. 9 hours of conversation took us to agree. Love it. Now, Ryan,
I love how we're going from a commonality to a complete like disparagement in our next segment. Like I love this at so many levels.
And we'll do this after we come back from the short break.
This video is brought to you by Not Sponsored, the best at asking you to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. To learn more about how AI videos like this can help your podcast grow, don't ask me. There were technical difficulties, but it's solved now. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
We're back on the FC Mag Pod. Ryan, Emmanuel, and John with you. So I came up with a really fun idea that I think would be really interesting because the day we're shooting this is St. Patrick's Day. It's the first game of March Madness. It's the first game of the US Open Cup, but it's also the final of the World Baseball Classic, all on the same day. And this gave me the idea of, what if we had a draft of the best tournaments from around the world, either within league or internationally? So the way this is going to go is we're going to go 3 rounds, snake draft style. We already agreed off camera. The order is going to be me, Emmanuel, John. But because it's a snake draft, round 2 is going to be John, Emmanuel, myself. And then round 3 is going to be the same as round 1. Once it's off the board, it's off the board completely. We'll put a little thing at the very end, maybe a little post. We'll put a poll on what you guys think has the best lineup of tournaments across the board. This can be international. This can be league. This can be within or outside the U.S. And this can be across any single sport. So with the 1-1, there's a very obvious 1-1. And I'm so happy you guys gave me this number 1 overall pick. It's going to be the FIFA World Cup. It's the most viewed tournament in the entire world. It's the beautiful game. We're a soccer show at the end of the day. And once it's selected, it's off the board completely. So I hope you guys built some good draft boards because the World Cup is taken number 1 overall.
Second, Champions League. That's where the Champions of Champions plays, in my opinion. I think everybody's opinion that watches the World Cup. So it's always exciting. It's always good to see who's going to win it this year. I know Madrid's had it a couple last year, but it's still like it never loses that spark of like people watching it around the world.
So you guys left me with a third pick. I'm probably have to.
Remember, you get to choose twice.
I do get to choose twice, and I'm surprised, Ryan, you didn't choose like the cricket World Cup or something. I don't know. I feel like you were probably gonna go with like a random sport that you probably watch. when your wife's sleeping. But I'm gonna go with the third pick, Wimbledon. So I'm a big tennis fan, and
That was
and I love tennis. I love watching Wimbledon. It's definitely the biggest Grand Slam in the calendar. So with the third pick, Wimbledon, and with the fourth pick, I'm going to put the Summer Olympics, which could arguably go as third too. But since I'm a big tennis fan, I'll put them in fourth.
even though it just happened a couple of years ago, was there a favorite sport of yours in the Summer Olympics?
Favorite sport is definitely the 100-meter sprint. So it's not. I mean, I guess it's track and field, but that's my favorite thing to watch.
I would love to see one of these days the three of us line up for a 100-meter dash, just to see how it goes. John's probably going to beat us.
Legs? Dude's legs are twice the length of mine.
No, but I've seen the strength of his legs if I've watched enough of his tape.
Hey, yo, whoa, buddy, relax.
He's got a powerful leg. John's got a good leg. I've seen his tape. Like he's obviously, top player in the league for a reason, and it shows on tape. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan. Means a lot.
Damn.
Emmanuel, round 2, number 5 overall.
Love it. MLB World Series. Just because there's a lot of countries tuned in for this particular series. I mean, I don't even really watch baseball, but I'm tuned in. It's one of those things that just, you rally behind your national team and you support it. And I mean, even after it's over, you still want to see what's going on with the other teams.
Do you know what the MLB World Series is? Because you're talking about the baseball classic.
I think I'm talking about the baseball classic.
Are you talking about the World Baseball Classic?
You know what?
Countries
We should add it.
about the MLB, where it's just the MLB.
Diablo. Yeah, definitely not that.
Okay, so you're talking World Baseball Classic then.
Yeah, I was definitely talking about the classic.
How fun was the World Baseball Classic? You have all the Italians with their espresso machine and the Venezuelan team, the Dominican team, they're like dancing on the third baseline, like on the way to home. Like, you just gotta love it,
I know. John was mentioning the espressos in the dugout.
That's my kind of team, man. I love that stuff.
So,
Gotta love Team Italy.
all right, so I think they should be here, though. I feel like that tournament should be here on this list.
But that's fine.
World Baseball Classic?
Yeah.
Totally fair. That was on the list.
All right, let's do it.
It was on the preset list, so that's good. So we got Wimbledon, Summer Olympics, Champions League, World Baseball Classic. I picked the FIFA World Cup, and I have the double here. Part of me wants to go the recency bias and double dip between the Open Cup and March Madness, but I won't. I will pick March Madness, though, and part of that is largely because I want variety on my team. I want multiple sports. I didn't want to double down on soccer, even though the Open Cup is so much fun. I'm so glad to be broadcasting it tomorrow. But March Madness, this is the time for minor schools to get their opportunity. Basketball programs get transformed by just participating in March Madness because they receive millions of dollars of funding for just making the darn thing. And all these mid-majors, these small teams, they always make a splash. The brackets are fun, buzzer beaters, little bit of betting nowadays, sure, but you make a bracket, you have fun with it, you talk your smack. And I knew with certainty this one was going to stay up because I knew with certainty neither of you are going to pick it. But it is the most fun tournament, in my personal opinion. This would have been my personal 1-1, but for the sake of this draft, it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the only one where you can have 5 overtimes determine a game 7 in the National Hockey League, right? It's the best hockey tournament in the world. And in June, it is basically by itself. And I can argue that the NHL playoffs is 1,000 times more entertaining than the NBA playoffs, even though they take place at the same time. So that's going to end my draft: World Cup, March Madness, and Stanley Cup playoffs. Manuel, you're round 3. Dun, 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 dun.
Listen, I got to go with the Piston Cup, all right? Lightning McQueen, being an underdog. Hudson Hornet. You can't beat that, man. The emotions, Mater on the track. That's it. That's my pick.
I mean, honestly, after that, I just don't know if we can. I think that should have been number 1. I don't think
You're
there's
right.
anything
You should have been.
was-
No, but in all seriousness, I think the 24 hours of Le Mans would be my Neds. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing really like the 24 hours of Le Mans. I mean, there's no 24-hour soccer game that you can just sub in and out. But like, yo, would that be crazy? Imagine you have like 50 people on a team and you play for 24 hours. That's insane. All right, we're leaving that.
Fair, that does sound like a game in the NHL playoffs where that goes to 4 overtimes, 5 overtimes, and you're up at 2 a.m. watching it. Like that sounds like an NHL playoff game.
But all right, think about it now. So the referee carries 2 pairs of gloves, and then the players, whenever they want to square up, go at it like in hockey.
Okay, I feel like this is probably
This is definitely way more niche than any of us are aware of.
Go for it.
okay. So I'm gonna close it out with the last pick on the 3rd round, and it's crazy that out of the 2 Americans, I'm the one choosing this, but the Super Bowl, has to be there. I love football. Ryan and I, big Buffalo Bills fans, represent.
Go
But love football. Biggest game of the year in football, So that's I think my last pick, and could arguably be way higher, But this is fun, Ryan. I like your ideas, man.
we gotta have some fun segments on here.
Yeah,
We
this is
talk a
good.
lot of stuff. We go through a lot of serious headlines. We go through a lot of drama, but we're allowed to have fun. We're a thing today with 3 dudes hanging out, talking ball, and if any of you have any ideas for future drafts, rankings, tier lists, etc., feel free to drop them in the comments. And who knows? Maybe let's make this a post. Let's make this a post on Twitter or IG. Put down a poll and let the people determine who had the best draft. And maybe we can continue the punishment fest. Maybe not 100 push-ups straight like our MLS picks that are coming up next. But we can probably figure something out. Maybe like, I don't know, a spoonful of hot sauce or something of the sort. I don't know. I like that training of yours. Emmanuel, you came up with the idea and you had me thinking. So you put that in my mind from the last couple of shows. But
Let's do it.
but I like the idea. But yeah, it was something fun. It's something different. We could put it on socials, get people to vote on who did the best, and maybe ideas of what drafts, polls, tier lists we could do moving forward.
Let's do it. Moving on to the next segment, guys. MLS picks, something we started doing, and then loser's gonna do 100 push-ups on camera, maybe live, maybe
One
not
sitting.
live. That'll be like the 24 hours of Le Mans.
If you're doing them,
I'm doing them, guys. I'm a little out of shape. You can't tell, but let's go at it. New York City Football Club versus Miami.
I'd take NYCFC on that one.
I think Messi plays and Miami does take it after all.
Ooh, I think honestly, I'll say that New York takes this one just because of their recent form. I think they're on a good run. So yeah, Vancouver, San Jose.
Vancouver.
I love what the Caps are doing. I'm in favor. Give me the Caps.
Yeah, me too. Whitecaps. Let's do it. Charlotte versus New York Red Bulls.
Tie for me.
Give me the kids. Like, I don't know. There's something about the vibe of this team. These kids are killing it. And yeah, give me the kids and Michael Bradley, Red Bull New York.
I'm gonna say Charlotte for this one. And
Favoritism, homerism.
No, yeah, you're right.
We literally have a Charlotte scarf in their backdrop, guys.
I mean, look at this corner. You can't see it. San Diego, Real Salt Lake.
San Diego at home.
I'll do that. I've done this at least once every time we've done this, and I'll do it again. This is going to be the draw of the week.
Yeah, I can actually agree with you on that one. I think that's going to be a tie. Minnesota, Seattle.
Give me some James Rodríguez, first win in the league. Come on, James. Minnesota.
I'm calling my shot twice. I think Minnesota can find a way to squeak out a singular point from Seattle. It's going to be another draw.
Yeah, I think Seattle's going to take this one. Sorry, James. But yeah, that's it.
If he even plays.
Yeah, if he even plays. Dang. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the MLS picks of the week. Any final words? Any of you guys want to tell the people? Any projects you got coming up? Any games?
Thursday, Open Cup, Charlotte Independence at home against Ristosi. So see you guys there. And great stuff today, guys. Really enjoyed it. Have a lot of fun. So see you guys next week.
First off, like the video, comment your ideas down below, any of your polls, drafts, lists, etc. that we will try to get to. And don't forget to share the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, 2 games on the docket this week. Open Cup on Wednesday, back in Lancaster, AV Alto versus Valley 559. On Sunday, back in MLS Next Pro, heading to Utah, Real Monarchs and Vancouver Whitecaps 2 on One Football and the MLS YouTube page.
Of course, and that's exactly where you guys can find John and Ryan, to enjoy some of the things that they do for work, for a living, other than these podcasts, which if you don't like and subscribe, one day we're going to stop doing it. No, I'm kidding, guys. We're not going to stop doing it. And like and subscribe and keep up with everything we're doing. Instagram is where we're the most active. And see you on the next one.
Peace.